Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Happy Friday. We are on the channel this evening on March the 6th, 2026, doing the first live for this month. If you guys can see me, say hello in the chat, give me a thumbs up, and make sure you're subscribed. Click the bell button so you get alerts for more of my videos. As you guys know, I'm always here on Fridays doing either live tarot or astrology readings. But I'm also here on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, kind of tying together tarot, astrology, Sabian symbols to try to make sense of what's going on in the cosmos. And I'm excited to be back for the very first live. We've got a couple of people who are already in the queue, so say hello in the chat if you guys are already here. I see Janette's here. What's up, Janette? I got your questions. What's up, Mr. Powers? We've got Bree T. I've got your question too. Jill's here. And Deanna is checking in on the road. David's here. He's the hype man in the chat. What's going on, everybody? Hello, Minette. Okay, so this is the first video of March. So I have to say thank you to all of my members. If you guys are members on my channel, we've got several different levels you can get in to support me as a full-time content creator. I create long format educational horoscopes, new moon reports, full moon reports, retrogrades, all that fun stuff, and Sunday's astro weather. You guys can support me by checking out my memberships. If you choose to get a level 4 membership, you can get your reading if you want this evening. You're gonna get ahead of the line. You guys get part of the level 3 horoscopes club where you get daily horoscopes for the 12 signs, and you also get a shout out. And it's a great way to kind of support me. So I'm gonna say thank you to all of the members who are on the channel. We've got like at least like 46 people who are between level 2 and level 4. So that's awesome. I want to say big thank you to everybody. Looks like Janette just signed up. We've also got JRP8804, Contessa of the Divine, Angie. We've got Divana, user, let's see, SZ6H. Okay, Amanda Hubbard, Desiree, Morphic Power, Lapis Sun, we've got Vicky, Puppies, we've also got Arcea, Darlene, Junie Bones, we've got Be Well with T, Amanda, Dana Diamond, Luna, Amanda 4099, Loving Light, we've also got Scripps Shaman, Heltram, Haley O'Grady, we've got Donald Seals, Taylor, Enchanted Crossroads, Miss Self-Destruct, Patty, Rosie, Mia, Sharon Grant, Alicia, Deanna, Nancy, Melissa, Always Lauren, Janie Doe. We've got B. Lavie, Ashley Johnson, Sharon. We've got Claire, In the Gap, Grow Up Together, and we've got Miss Tuliba and Susan Wexler. So thank you guys. Some of you guys have been members for just a couple days. Some of you guys have been here for a couple years. I appreciate you so much. And let's go ahead and get started. So we are going to be starting with our level 4 members. If you guys are new here, it's nice to meet you. I'm Candace. We're gonna be doing tarot readings. So we can do a single card spread, ask anyone question for $20 or a 3-card spread for $40. You can scan the QR code right up here. It'll take you to my PayPal where you can make the donation, and please put in the memo box your question so I know what you guys are asking for. And we also have super chat. So if you guys don't have PayPal, we can do super chat as well. If you hear your name, that means that I already have you in the queue. We're gonna take Deanna because she's level 4. But I've also got Anna, Amiko, Gil, Janette, Matt Powers, Sasha. We've got Jenna. Make sure I'm not missing anybody. And that's what I've got so far. And you'll hear me kind of calling out the names so you know when your reading is coming up. Looks like Robin slid in there too. So I've got you, Robin. And if you guys can't stay for the reading, no worries. You can always come back. We'll leave the video on the channel so that way you guys can give me feedback. Let me know what's kind of going on with your reading and how it plays out. And we're gonna start first with Deanna, and then Anna and Amiko. You guys are on deck. What's up, Deanna? She says she's on the road again. So let's see what she says. Cashing in for a general reading because I literally have no idea what to ask. So many things are just stagnant. This morning, my therapist cracked up because she keeps expecting me to message her, and I can't make it because I'm in another country, LOL. I can't believe and believe me, every day I'm looking at flights. So Any help will be the most appreciated. Also, Irishman's older brother and family reach out to say they were sorry about the breakup. Ooh. All right, what's up, Emmy? Lost Age says crazy weather tonight across the U.S. You're going to see a lot of that with the Mercury retrograde. And Mars in Pisces, oh my gosh, we're going to see lots of rain, lots of stormy weather. So let's see what we can tell Deanna. She's looking at flights, going to places, wanting to kind of get out there and experience new things. But let's see what advice the tarot can give her and what she needs to know, because she's open to any feedback. So tell us something good, tarot. What does Deanna need to know while she's in this transitional state? That one. All right. So in this order, this is what I got. We've got the Nine of Cups, the Ten of Swords, the Ace of Swords. Well, it seems like it's about highs and lows. You know, I think it's interesting that you basically have like two definitive cards that are about endings and beginnings, right? So we know the Nine of Cups is a positive card. This is what we kind of start the spread off with. Nine of Cups is talking about where you have been recently, especially over like the last couple of weeks. A lot of reflecting, a lot of thinking about what you do want. Also, this is a card that's about like being humble and I think having gratitude. Like when I see the Nine of Cups, there's a sense of being like, okay, looking at things in a positive manner, seeing things as the glass is half full, trying to be appreciative of what you have, and also focusing on you. This card is inherently selfish because it's a lot of what do I want? What can I bring in? And this is a pretty positive card. It's basically saying channels are opening, that there are new things that are coming in for you, and it's about being positive and also really focusing on what's going to bring you the most joy or the most happiness or the most personal or emotional kind of fulfillment. And really, I think that being at the beginning of the spread is just kind of saying, now you're free to do whatever you want to do. So maybe it's that you're kind of in limbo or you're getting ready to make some job changes. Maybe it's that you're just recently single. But certainly this card is kind of saying, okay, now I can sit back and really think about what I can kind of start. And so maybe you've been approaching this process of, you know, kind of being in a transitional state, optimistic about what's going to be kind of coming in. And, you know, like I said, highs and lows. Now, the low point is definitely that Ten of Swords. The positive is that when you pull a 10, it's basically saying you're completing a cycle. So maybe at first it was like, okay, now I don't have to take into consideration planning my life around another person, even though the breakup is difficult and it's hard to accept. The Ten of Swords is kind of saying it's like a painful conclusion to a chapter that needs to be kind of closed and put behind you. It's also saying that there's still a lot of disappointment here. So like the Ten of Swords is kind of feeling like some of the stuff that has happened you did not see coming, or you did not anticipate being an ending, or kind of closing this chapter or walking away from a relationship. And so there's not really a sense of taking away from that. Like that's still kind of lingering right now, but it is acknowledging that like the cycle is complete, that the situation is like done, or you have to treat it that way because you're moving on to something new. So maybe it started off optimistic, but as you've been going through things, there's like a sense of you kind of looking at things going on right now where you're like, yeah, but I can't help but acknowledge or notice that there are other things that are ending right now. Like you might feel like certain things are kind of crashing down around you because there has been this sense of kind of building everything up on the trajectory of where you were going and how it was distinctly tied to that relationship. Whether that was your career or where you were going to be living or even your identity, a lot of it was being built up around what you thought you wanted, what you thought was going to be good for you. Now I think you're kind of facing the harsh reality that's like, okay, it doesn't mean I can't have those things, but I'm not having it the way that I thought I was going to have it. It's almost like you're taking like a off-road, you know, kind of roundabout way of getting what you want. And still there's some sense of like reflecting and some disappointment, kind of being like, I didn't think it was going to be this way. So you're still working through that. This is a healing card too. You know, if you see the card, it's kind of dark, but you have a guy, the sun is setting, he's laying flat on his face and he's got all these swords in his back. So there's this sense of feeling like, in some sense, you're like, man, you know, I feel like I got stabbed in the back, or like, you know, something ended that I didn't really have control over, or something happened that I didn't see coming. And now you're able to kind of start to heal that, and you're kind of pulling the swords out. So you're able to kind of get a reprieve. But it can also mean that right now you're really seeking like peace, or you're like really wanting some alone time. potentially outside or out in nature, or, you know, you're wanting to just kind of feel like you're going somewhere to kind of heal this chapter and leaving it at that location, not feeling like you're bringing it home. Okay. So like road opening stuff would be good right now. Cord cutting would be good right now. Anything that's going to be about really kind of closing that door and being able to move forward. Then you have the Ace of Swords. So you have focusing on your bliss, coming to some conclusions about what has to end. And then the Ace of Swords is now creating that new boundary. It's creating that new line in the sand. Aces are about new beginnings. So this is an ending, this is a beginning. So it's almost like saying you can still get what you want. Maybe it didn't take the direction that you thought it was going to go in, and maybe there was a sense of mourning that you didn't get to take certain aspects of the relationship or things connected to your old life with you, but you still forge ahead. And so with the Ace of Swords, it's that moment of clarity and this realization that you're like, I have to start this new kind of embarkment. Maybe it means that you're going to start writing or journaling. It could also mean that there's like this sense of clarity and like channeled kind of messages that are going to start coming in. It can also mean that it's connected to education, because this is obviously the element of air. So it can be about information, learning, writing, you know, kind of connecting with people. And I really feel like you're going to get so much out of this period if you have a journal to reflect back on. Because I feel like right now you're in the Ten of Swords, but if you start writing about the process and you start kind of talking about what you're learning about yourself, or goals that are kind of coming up for you, or I think a lot of it's going to be learning about how to communicate your needs rather than moving forward in a relationship in the future and feeling like you're kind of getting off track and you're starting to kind of build everything around another person. Now things are going to shift, and you're going to look at it as, you know, now when I meet people, I'm going to have important conversations. I'm going to kind of tell them, you know, where I'm coming from, what I'm doing, what my goals are. And also I'm going to speak up more. I'm going to have more of a sense of authority. And so right now you're kind of getting your voice back, because Ace of Swords means this is like a new energy that's kind of coming in for you. Really strong, especially when we see anything that's going to be associated with the element of air. So obviously we're just kind of coming out of Aquarius season. So likely this is going to be something that's going to be channeled very strongly between now and the fall. Also, I know your chart, right? Like Leo rising, you got all that Libra in your chart. So maybe it's about leaning into that and like recognizing that certain relationships, you know, can actually be beneficial at a distance, because it's going to give you the space to have your own inner authority, or to be able to kind of be a little bit more independent, to travel, to learn, to do these things. And I think you will actually look back at this time, and if you're in the thick of it, right, write about it, because you'll look back at the things that you were writing about, or the things that you were, maybe messages you were leaving to your future self. So you can go back and you can see how much you had grown. And like a lot of self-awareness and clarity and truth will come through this period. And it's going to be really, I think, beneficial for you as you're getting to the fall. So just like in the back of my mind, I think about, okay, we get into like Libra season this year, right? This is associated with the air signs. You're going to have a ton of planets going through Libra. You're going to have a retrograde in Libra. It's all going to be opposing Saturn. So it's going to represent, perhaps by that time, you know, being more open to relationship, or going back and forth in a long distance relationship, or somebody circling back and you having to kind of stand your ground and be like, look, you left, right? Or, you know, this is how much I've grown since you have kind of left my life, or, you know, this is all that I'm willing to give you. And it'll kind of be like a source of strength. Learning opportunities will come from this, and it might be something that you end up writing about or kind of teaching through. So stay open to that and kind of see some of this kind of channeled information that's kind of coming in. And I think a lot of it's going to be very empowering and helpful for you, especially in the future. She says 100%. Let's see. So angry, having to reboot so much. Lots of clarity from being high and journaling. That's great. You're spot on. Talked about not losing myself in relationships in therapy this morning. So, you know, to some extent it's bittersweet, because the Ace of Cups is like, yes, I had that experience. It was a great experience. Unfortunately, it ended. But what did I take away from it? What did I learn? And a lot of the Ace of Swords is about knowing your truth and being able to have that really honest dialogue, either with your therapist or even with yourself in journaling, and being able to come back to that and being like, yeah, that happened to me. I made it through. And it'll be something that will kind of like teach you lessons about communication and relationships in the future. So good things are on the way, but it looks like you're getting ready to kind of get your voice back. So hopefully that's helpful for you, and hopefully also things go a little bit better. Definitely part of, I think, the Leo rising kind of transits are about learning to kind of travel and find yourself, you know, on your own. So hopefully that you're able to do those things. All right, well, let's take a look. Who else do we have here? We've got Anna, and then we've got Emiko. You guys are next on my list. Let's see, was this on my PayPal or was this on the channel? All right, so cooking with Anna. So let me go find Anna. What's up, Gil? Oh no, we didn't do yours yet. You're about 2 readings away, and then we will be doing your reading. You're number 4 on my list. All right, let's see what Anna has to say. There we go. $20 reading, Cooking with Anna. My reading is under Cooking with Anna. I don't know how it works with the question on California time. My question is, will the daughter I raised have a change of heart and speak to me soon? Okay, well, let's take a look. Let's see what we can tell you about the relationship with your daughter. So what can we see about the relationship that Anna has with her daughter? Is she going to have a change of heart and speak to her soon? That one. The tarot is very picky this evening. I don't know. I can tell this is going to be like an interesting session. Great card. So you get the Fool card. First of all, the Fool is the very first card of the major arcanas. It's the first card of the deck, right? So it's about a fresh start, taking chances, leaps forward, new beginnings, kind of like a clean slate. And so when I think about this card in the traditional Rider-Waite, right, you see like the little gesture, or like the Fool, and he's standing there and he's got the dog. So it talks about companionship, and it talks about loyalty and being bound to one another. So obviously if you're, you know, mother-daughter, there is a sense of being bound, even if there's distance. This is a card that's also strongly associated with Uranus. So it can talk about sudden changes and kind of shifts that are going on. So I would say, look at your chart. Where is Uranus in your chart? Is it making aspects to your 4th house, your 5th house, your 7th house? That can be really significant because it can be talking about changes going on with relationships with family or potentially even with children. And I do think with the Fool card, it is saying that there is something that's coming in that's going to be about a reset and a new beginning for the 2 of you guys. On one hand, it's about being hopeful and optimistic and kind of holding that light and really kind of holding space for, I'm ready for it when she wants to meet me there, you know, still staying connected and staying loyal to the relationship that you have with your kid. On the other hand, this can be a card that's also saying that there is this potential of repeating patterns, right? Because you kind of see him in the traditional Rider-Waite. He's got one foot that's stepping off of the cliff and a rose in his hand, which means he's kind of hopeful for that pure kind of new beginning. But also there is this potential of slipping up, right? Making mistakes, going into something idealistically, or kind of assuming that things are going to be different or that they're going to be better. So it does also kind of talk about the need for looking at things clearly, seeing the situation for what it is, being hopeful, but also at the same time not being too idealistic and not repeating some of the same patterns. And one of the things that comes up with the Fool card, especially with a question like this, is maturity, right? So this can be kind of symbolizing that it's hard for you right now to take a step back and be like, she's on her own path. She's going through this, you know, situation. I have to let her be. I have to let her go out there into the world and see what it's like and live life and have experiences. And she may realize once she's out on her own and she doesn't have that kind of direct support and relationship with her mom, that she's like, maybe I don't know everything. You know, maybe I thought that it was my mom, and maybe I'm having similar issues with relationships or with friends or certain things that will start to show her that she's maybe not as mature in relationship dynamics as she could be. And so you're having to kind of let her go through some of those experiences so she can learn through life the hard way and then ultimately kind of circle back. And really it's going to be about approaching the relationship with a fresh start. So I would encourage you to be more focused on not what happened, but what are you guys going to do moving forward, right? Connecting, being like, how have you been? What's been going on? But how are we going to do things differently in our relationship dynamic and hopefully be more geared towards the future rather than kind of harboring any, you know, ill feelings or resentment or kind of hurt for the past. Focus on going forward. But yes, it does look like there's going to be an opportunity for you guys to do that, but you're really going to have to start fresh, right? So hopefully that's helpful for you. Very positive and optimistic in a sense of being able to kind of reconnect with her. Those of you guys who want to get a reading, you can scan the QR code. You can get in the queue. We will let you know when we're going to call last call. We've got Amiko who popped in. What's up, Amiko? Amiko says, won't be at the live, but any insight on what's coming up with dating? I haven't seriously dated anyone in 10 plus years and everyone else has been short-lived. I live in Maui and good guys are hard to come by, especially because I don't go to bars. I rarely see anyone attractive and I don't want to do the apps. All right, well, let's take a look. Let's see if we can give Amiko some good news or some advice potentially about dating. Are you a Pisces rising? I think you are, right? Part of the Mercury retrograde, if you're having Mercury retrograde in your first house, is like, it's about, do I want relationships? Do I not? You know, because it rules your 7th and you're like, how do I change my relationship dynamics or how do I meet people, especially given where I live? So I definitely feel like there is a sense of having to get out of your comfort zone and put yourself back out there when it comes to dating. And you'll want to see what's going on. Oh, there she is. You'll have to see what's kind of going on with your 5th house ruler. So Pisces rising, Aries sun, Taurus moon, Venus and Mars in the 12th house in Aquarius. So with the eclipses that are going on and the North Node that's going to be heading towards the conjunction with your Mars and your Venus, it's definitely going to highlight a lot of karmic relationships and potentially even like meeting people who are foreigners or who are visiting from other countries. So keep an eye out for that. Go and look at what's going on with your natal Mercury. Go and look at what's going on with your natal Mercury. Thanks, Anna. I appreciate the feedback. Sending you lots of good vibes of connecting with her. But your natal Mercury is going to tell you what's going to be happening. Okay, so let's see what we can tell Amiko about connecting. There hasn't been anything in quite some time. Mercury and Aries. So when Saturn hits your Mercury, this is, I'm not even kidding this. I'm not even kidding. Look at this. I got that card again. Okay. And it's the Fool card again, but you got that covered. So the confirmation card at the bottom of the deck is the 9 of Swords. So here's something I want to tell you guys about what's going on with the Mercury retrograde right now. Mercury is retrograde. It's in Pisces. It's been retrograde conjunct Venus. So a lot of people are like, I'm not liking what I'm not getting or what I'm not seeing, or, you know, I don't want to go back, or I don't, you know, want to meet people in this way. When you're dealing with Pisces energy, you literally have to like say, I don't really care, out of sight, out of mind. Like if it comes up, but I'm not looking for it. That's the only way to kind of navigate the beast when you're dealing with some of these transits. My interpretation of the Fool card coming up, I think we're going to see this a lot over the next couple of weeks with all the fresh starts. And if you have Mercury in Aries, so it's either in your 1st or your 2nd house, you'll see Saturn come into conjunction with that this year. Saturn's going to get up to about, I think, 14, maybe 15 degrees, and then it's going to retrograde back. So it'll be within range. And if you have Mercury that's your 7th house ruler and it's tied to your 2nd, you have to know your value. There has to be a sense of being like, if you want me, you have to come after me. You have to come and get me, right? Because Aries is like the hunt. So they will have to like literally pursue you. They're going to have to also, you know, show you that they value you. And a lot of it's about redefining your own value and like knowing your worth and not settling for relationships. Wherever your 7th house Lord is, it's going to actually tell you where you're going to meet your partner. So if it's in your 1st house, if Mercury's in your 1st, they're going to walk right up to you and they're going to approach you and they're going to start talking to you and they're going to have an interest in you and you have to engage with them. If it's in your 2nd house, likely you're going to meet them closer to like a bank or like a bakery or something that's kind of connected to food. So getting more involved in, if you don't go and do like the bars and stuff, cooking classes, right, is something that I would say would be really good with Mercury in the 2nd. Learning about food or learning about cooking or anything that deals with preserving, you know, food or serving food or anything that's going to be connected to hospitality might be something you want to watch for. And then I think with like the Fool card coming up is saying, like, look, there is a new person coming in. There is going to be a new cycle for dating. And I could say that for Pisces risings just in general. I mean, Jupiter is about to wake up in your 5th house, so it's going to get really good in like June and July. You're going to see a Mars retrograde. That's going to be in your 7th house at the beginning of 2027. And there's going to be then the Saturn transit hitting your Mercury. So my guess is if you're willing to do something that's involving education and something local, food related, do that in like April, May. Dating will start to kind of open up, and you'll see opportunities for that closer to about June or July. And then you'll see some of the themes of going back and forth in a relationship or a karmic relationship early next year. Likely Mercury conjunct Jupiter is going to be about solidifying that relationship. But I think that, to be honest with you, looking at this, it's telling me that you have to go about dating in a new way. And I think that the Nine of Swords as a confirmation card is kind of saying there's this stress of being like, well, how do I meet somebody? Do I have to go looking for someone? Like, how is it going to work? I don't want to, try anything new. I don't want to do anything out of my comfort zone. Personally, just be open to meeting people in a new way. If you can do that, and like, look, he's outside, he's also hiking. So I'm wondering, like, do you join a hiking group? Do you go and do something that's connected to gardening or cooking outside or anything that deals with like physical fitness outside? That would be another good idea. Also, he's there with a dog. So I'm like wondering, like, do you potentially go somewhere where there's people that are walking their dogs, or do you go somewhere where there's going to be people outside that are hanging out with their pets? Is it possible that, you're really approaching dating more so looking for companionship? And I think that's definitely the case if you have Venus in Aquarius. You're really looking to meet somebody who's like somebody that you click with on like a friendly kind of platonic way before it develops into something that can be like more passionate. And obviously, if you have Mercury in Aries, it means that you need to have somebody who can kind of keep up with you and somebody who can do stuff with you physically and like feel that you guys can be active together. So don't stress so much about whether or not you're going to find somebody, how it's going to work out. Very common when you have Venus in the 12th house that there's this feeling of like not connecting with people. When you do, you're like really attached to them, and then you have to let them go. But I think as these transits happen and like the eclipses in the North Node are going to start activating your Venus and your Mars, definitely be open to connecting with people who may potentially be online. And I'm not saying a dating app, but it can mean that you're connecting with people who are like international travelers, or people who are basically, coming from overseas, or people who are really into 12th house stuff. Meditation, spirituality, sound healing, anything that's connected with metaphysics, potentially even like meditation classes and stuff. You could definitely meet some people in that vicinity that could really open up the door to meeting somebody who's more on your level. And also approach this as you're looking for your best friend, not necessarily that you're looking for a partner, right? But you're definitely letting go of this fear that you're not going to find anybody. And I think that's the Nine of Swords as the confirmation card. All right. Let's see. I'm just catching up here. I've been learning a lot about value for sure. I've noticed Mars can be a boyfriend in someone's chart. I have Mars in the 10th and my boyfriend is a firefighter, was in the military. Yeah, totally. Jupiter, they say, is your husband. But really you want to look at the ruler of your 7th house. That's going to tell you more about a long-term committed relationship. Let's see. Eventually I'll put tomorrow to listen again with translation. Okay. Well, there should be translation after the video has been completed. So I'll do what I can. All right. So let's see. We've got Gil now. So we're going to be able to do Gil's reading. And I think she's tuning in from Brazil. All right, Gil says, thanks for the opportunity to connect directly from Brazil. I've taken exam on the 1st and 2nd of March to become a judge, and I'd love to know if you see me passing and achieving my goal. Okay, so you're born September 23rd, so you're a really early Libra, and you're born in Sao Paulo. All right, well, let's take a look. Certainly for Libras right now, I mean, the astrology right now is very significant because you've got Saturn, which is about status and also career and reputation, is going, it's in Aries. And we're seeing the next couple of days, Venus is going to meet with Saturn and Neptune. So it can be for some Libras major turning points where they're kind of now moving forward into something where they can start legally or professionally serving other people or being seen as somebody who is really prominent, right? There's a lot of big things happening over the next week with them. So let's take a look. Let's see what the cards have to say for you in regards to becoming a judge. And also I would say, oh, what did she say? Jupiter going direct. Yeah, Jupiter going direct. That's a big one because Jupiter rules like law, right? That's what it rules. And so on I think it's the 10th, it's going to go direct. And you're seeing a retrograde that's happening in Pisces. So it's a lot of like, where am I going job-wise? What's going to happen? But certainly Jupiter going direct in your 10th house as a Libra sun, that's going to be really positive for your career. So let's take a look and see. So can you tell us if Gil is going to pass her exam to become a judge? The answer would be yes. You get the 8 of Wands. Wow. Not only that, and so look for like, I don't know how long the process has been, right? I don't know how long they tell you have to wait until you get the results back, but I mean, it's swift. 8 of Wands is very quick. So it could be within 8 days, usually within 8 weeks, but usually this is days when you're kind of dealing with wands. This is like full steam ahead. I mean, when the 8 of Wands comes up, it's like quickly things happen. It moves very fast. Suddenly you kind of are jolted forward. You have new opportunities. Everything opens up for you. And it's like go, go, go. So this is one of the cards in my deck that I would say it's an absolute yes that that's going to happen. But it's also talking about the momentum, right? So like the momentum behind some of the changes that are going to happen. Once again, we got a lot of water trines that are happening this week. And so a lot of it is mind over matter. And a lot of it's like getting into the feeling of what it's going to be like once you're working as a judge, right? So I would say hold that image in your mind's eye, whether you're meditating or if you want to get up every day and you want to imagine that you're getting that phone call, you're getting the letter that's like, yes, you passed the test. And so, you know, where do you want to go and work? You know, where is it that you would like to kind of be? Start feeling and tipping, like kind of dipping into those emotions of what it feels like to be in that very prominent role. It's going to help push things forward. I've been telling everybody that some of the stuff that's going on in Pisces is about the emotions and our intuition. And then when we get into Aries, it's going to happen very quickly. So take a look at some of the transits that are happening with your natal moon. Okay, so see what's going on with your moon. Whatever's going on, outer aspects or planets that are aspecting your moon is also going to show you what's about to change with your career. But it looks like it's only going up from here. So this is the beginning. Obviously, that's a big deal to be a judge, right? I don't know if you had to go the path of being a lawyer and doing that for a while first, but it's saying now this is going to streamline your career and it's going to give you opportunities where multiple doors are going to open. So you may have a variety of different positions that you can take. And obviously 8s are also really good for wealth. So it's also saying that this is also going to be a good karmic cycle for you because what you're putting into it is kind of representing what you're getting back. Love that. All right. So we've got Janette and then we've got Matt. We've got Sasha. Let me check my PayPal. Thank you. I hope it goes well. Come back and let me know what happens. All right. So I put Jenna, it was Robert, not Robin, Robert. And then we've got Roy, and then we've got Amin. Okay, so we're gonna now take Janette, Matt, and then Sasha. Let me scroll up to Janette. What's up, Janette? Thanks for joining memberships. So you got a 3-card reading. She says, on level 3, you're a Cap rising and you've got your sun at 14 degrees of Pisces, so that's connected to the 3rd house, moon at 27 degrees of Aquarius, 2nd house. And my question for tonight is, when will I have clarity and come out of the fog? Will I be activated for my mission and my purpose? I love that. That's so timely, some of those questions, like thinking about like a Capricorn rising and like, you know, Saturn has now gone into Capricorn, has gone into Aries, Neptune's gone into Aries. But the Mercury retrograde, like the Mercury and the Venus stuff kind of in the 3rd house is like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, when is it going to happen? And now is a really great time to be getting a reading for you because of some of the trines to Jupiter. So it's a kind of opening, you know, getting readings or predictions or talking to friends or even family or a reader who's just like, yeah, I feel like there's good things coming. So let's see what the cards say. So what does she need to know about coming out of the fog and kind of becoming aware of her purpose? Wow, we're going to see a lot of similar cards tonight, guys. 8 of Wands, 2 of Wands, King of Wands. This is like boom, 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 boom. I think that like the 8 of Wands and the 2 of Wands, once again, like it's talking about that momentum. And when I think about just the Capricorn rising chart, I think a lot about the trines that are happening from the 3rd to the 7th, and that this is about getting people who are going to support you, people who are going to encourage you, people who are going to tell you things you did not know, right? Because Jupiter rules your 12th house. So you might feel like people are coming up to you and they're like, I just feel like there are good things happening for you, or I just feel like something is going to open up for you. Like pay attention for those little conversations and stuff that you have with people that are just out of the blue, where people are just telling you things and like kind of giving you that motivation or giving you some of those words of advice, or, you know, kind of keeping you going, because I feel like it's going to be channeled through other people. The Eight of Wands is also talking about like the energies shifting, like you're almost being redirected. Like when I created this deck. So when I created this deck, when I was thinking about the Eight of Wands, I didn't want to just do all of the wands at an angle like you see in the traditional Rider-Waite, because I really saw it as kind of like taking arrows and pulling them back and then being shot in a new direction. So really it's about passion, motivation, inspiration, creativity coming in. And that's really what's kind of like redirecting you. And it may also be connected to movement. So I think about a lot of the transits in your second house, that's just like channeling when you're walking or when you're writing, or, you know, when you're going for a drive, and that suddenly all of a sudden you're having all these downloads and you're getting all this information, or you're feeling like you're getting confirmation. Somehow get moving, because I think that that's going to get some of the channels kind of flowing a little bit better. I think that the Two of Wands is saying that you're standing at the precipice of change, and really it's going to be your choice what direction you're going to go in. The Two of Wands can basically represent you going, okay, I have the world at my hands, you know, where do I want to go? In a literal sense, whether it's moving, relocating, changing jobs, traveling, all that stuff. But it does represent you really reevaluating what it is that you want. So really you're thinking more about your destination. You're not really thinking about how you're going to get there. So it's kind of like backwards in a way. And I know like Capricorn energy can be really structured, but the Pisces in you is definitely going to understand, okay, I had to really think about more what's going to feel right? What's going to feel like the ultimate kind of like end game for me. And I've seen a lot of Capricorn risings that are either contemplating moving or relocating, traveling. There's a lot of them that are also contemplating studies. Some of them are thinking about, you know, going to like foreign countries, or kind of like moving and being on their own. And so you'll see that this is the last period for like next like week or two of just reevaluating what path you can take. And I think that what's interesting is that the King of Wands comes up. So there's another person who's going to be involved in this process. Now, I don't know if this is about you channeling the King of Wands energy. This is going to be more about being passionate, creative, entrepreneurial, a self-starter, somebody who is also really focused on sharing and creating and inspiring other people. So you can be channeling that energy as a woman. But it can also mean that there's like a fire sign somehow kind of tied to this. So there can be an Aries, there could be a Leo, there could be a Sag that's somehow involved in some of the direction that you're going to be kind of going in. Now, I would say if you're single, right, just knowing your transits, you know, Jupiter sitting in your 7th house, you know, basically means that there's either a business partnership, there's a romantic relationship, there's a spouse, there's going to be a really prominent person who's going to influence some of the direction that you're going in. And that's directly through some of the trines that you're going to see to your 3rd. So keep a lookout for a man who's going to be influencing you. And it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be a business partnership. It could be a client. It could be an investor. It could be somebody who's a friend. But somebody is basically going to be saying to you, like, I really think that you should do this thing. And they're going to be kind of inspiring you to feel like you can get the show on the road with like taking a risk, taking a chance. These are all fire energies, which is kind of challenging, I would say, at least for the Capricorn and the Pisces in you, because this is going to be about initiating something new. Just for feedback, right? So I remember when I was going through Saturn, going through my 4th house, and I was having my Saturn return, and it was coming into aspect with Jupiter that was going into my 7th. And that was the time that I was just like, I don't know where I'm supposed to be living, but I know it's not supposed to be here. Like, I do not want to live here. And that pushed me out to start kind of traveling. And it was very like 2, 3 of Wands energy, where I was like kind of going out and like visiting different places and just kind of coming to the realization that I didn't want to stay in California. And then through the squares that I was getting from planets in my 4th house to my 7th is when I ended up connecting with my husband. And then I ended up moving. And that relationship actually really pushed me out of the 4th house. And then in turn, it impacted like all of my other angular houses. So I tell you this because you're going through some of the same transits. And it doesn't matter if it's just an inspiring friend or a romantic relationship, but there's somebody who's going to come in that's basically going to be like, take a chance, like go and do this thing, like I believe in you, or they're going to be encouraging you. And you're going to start channeling more of that fire energy, which your Aquarius moon can handle. I mean, some of the positives are like some of the sextiles you're going to see, you know, between Aries and kind of Aquarius over the next couple of years. And I think for a lot of my Capricorn risings, it's going to be about, well, where do I want to put down roots? So I think a lot of it is just about thinking about where you can do what you want to do. And whether that's your soul mission, whether that's work, or it's just going to be your lifestyle, And everything is going to build from that. So be open over the next couple of months, especially through the summer, I would say, because this is all kind of like fire energies of exploring new places, going to places. You might feel that there's something that shifts just by kind of like visiting or even temporarily like relocating. And then you're going to start to see things that are going to kind of open up, and you're going to feel like it's not about waiting for that mission to kind of like drop into your lap. It's about going after it and being more focused on the end goal and the adventure that kind of happens in between, right? Because I know you're usually Capricorn risings or planners. There's no planning for what you're about to do. I'm just going to tell you that right now. You're not going to be able to plan some of this stuff. It's going to be more about following the feeling of being able to kind of live the life that you want. And it may feel a little different or a little bit secluded with Saturn and Neptune, but it looks like it's going to create that space for you to feel like you can be more creative and kind of live more of an authentic life. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Some really great cards. I really love that spread. I'm excited to see what ends up happening. What's up, T-Zill? Thank you. Thanks for watching. For those of you guys who want to get a reading, scan the QR code. You can get in the queue. We are still taking people. All right, we've got Janette, and then we've got Matt and Sasha. So let's see what Janette has. Oh, no, that was Janette. Excuse me. So that was for Janette. And so we've got Matt and then Sasha and Jenna. What's up, Matt? Matt says, work anxiety continues. This is honestly one of the lowest periods of my life. I'm wondering what will happen if I start applying to new teaching jobs. Will I get hired for the 2026-2027 school year at a better school? All right, well, let's take a look. So what can we tell Matt? Let's see, was that a 3? Yeah, it was a 3-card spread. All right, so for the 26 to 27 year, if he's looking for something, would he get hired? He needs some advice. Yeah, I got you, Juggy. All right, well, let's see what we can tell Matt. Give us some good news about getting hired maybe for this next year. What does he need to know while he's going through this low point? All right, so here we go. We have got the Devil card, the Page of Cups, and the 10 of Swords. Between a rock and a hard place with this one, my dude. Just astrologically speaking, you know, you really want to pay attention to what's happening for the next month, okay? Because the Mercury retrograde, the Mars transit, the Mercury conjunct Mars, the North Node, it's all dancing on your Saturn. Saturn rules your career. And so part of this, and I'm saying that because the Devil card is coming up, is really kind of talking about this karmic limitation, feeling bound to something, not being able to escape something, not being able to move on from something. And so it's going to test you as you're seeing all of these retrogrades and all these conjunctions. Listen to the Sunday video that I did for Astro Weather this week, because I talk about how Mercury will come into conjunction with Mars. We're going to feel like we impulsively want to do something or cut something off or quit a job or let something go. And then we're going to see Mercury that's going to turn direct, and then it's going to come back into a trine with Jupiter, which is basically saying if you can hold your horses and not immediately try to give up, I would say not giving up on teaching. The idea of applying to another place I think is good, but you're doing it not because you're feeling stuck. You're doing it because you want to get to a place where you're feeling empowered and you're not kind of beholden to, you know, superiors and people who are just kind of cracking down on you. That would be the Devil card. What's interesting is usually when this card comes up in the past, it's saying like you're completing a karmic cycle when it comes to work and career and kind of feeling like victimized by your job or kind of feeling limited by your job or afraid that something is not going to support you. So I would say be careful what you give energy to, because if that's where your mindset is, Mercury, you're going to see a perpetuation of that. The Page of Cups comes up. So usually if somebody says, hey, if I apply for a job, am I going to get it? Or if I ask this person out to dinner, are they going to say yes? Or if I, you know, give somebody this proposal, are they going to take it? The Ace of Cups is yes. So if you're asking, if you go and you apply for another job, it's saying yes, you will get an offer from another position. Likely the Page of Cups can be saying that you're really looking for something that feels like a good fit for you emotionally. So feeling out that connection, like go and check out the school, talk to the faculty, do a tour, get an idea of the environment that you're going to be in, right? And like feeling like whether or not you're getting that signal of whether or not it's going to be a fit for you would be a good idea. I can tell you right now, over the last month or so, there is not a single Aries rising that I've spoken to who I have not had to talk them off the ledge in regards to work. All of them are doing it. And a lot of them are either having a lot of emotional or psychological issues, or they're having health issues, or they're having sleepless nights, and they're just like, I feel like my job's going to end, you know, something's going to happen, I'm going to be let go. And I'm like telling all of them, Mars hitting the North Node is more about you guys being done with your job than your job being done with you, just for the useless file. So what you're picking up emotionally and energetically is like, this is not an emotional fit. This is not feeling good. Like I need to potentially, you know, like look for something else. And you have to learn to differentiate the difference between your anxiety and what your gut is telling you. A lot of it's about tapping into your emotions, and like that your emotions are telling you like, this is not a place that's going to be conducive for you to be in the long run. So if you go looking for something else, will you get an offer? Yes, I believe so. And what's interesting is then you get the 10 of Swords, which is basically saying, okay, you get that offer, you're wrapping up basically what has been probably a pretty tumultuous last kind of year or so being in this position, and you're able to put it to rest. There is a sense of you being like, now I can kind of heal and move on. Now I can kind of release this. Obviously, after the Ace of Swords, you know what comes next? The Page of Swords. So it's going to be about then you going, okay, I'm on my new little conquest, you know, now I'm going and teaching a new subject, or now I'm working at a new school, or, you know, now I'm kind of learning to kind of find my voice again and kind of communicate and feel like I can interact with people and not feel afraid or feel victimized. I think a lot of the 10 of Swords is about feeling victimized. It is also saying that there can be some disappointment, that it's not something that happens immediately, right? So I would say probably going and looking at your chart, just, you know, knowing that you have that Aries rising, I can tell you pretty confidently, like you are going to be seeing with this retrograde, this is a good time to make a decision whether or not you want to go looking for it. If you've come to the conclusion emotionally that you want to, start the process. There will still be some changes though, right? So with like astrology, there's always something coming. So you will see perhaps Uranus going back into Gemini is, oh, I'm working at a new school, or I'm doing something that's going to be a charter school or a magnet school, or something that's going to be about long distance education or tutoring, right? Something digital, especially with the trines to Pluto. And then later in the year, you're going to have eclipses that are going to be still kind of impacting your 11th and also your 5th house. So it is going to be about potentially working with new children. And then at the beginning of 2027, there's a Mars retrograde. So you could quite literally stay in this job, but you will, I think, get to the beginning of 2027 and you'll be like, now I want to make a change. So there will be something that could potentially shift just knowing that your chart ruler is going to retrograde in your 6th house. Yes, that's me. So the 10 of Swords doesn't mean that my new job would be just as bad or feel defeated at my new job. No, it's saying that because you start with this realization that there is some kind of karmic limitation, you go after seeking a new relationship, then you're able to kind of heal and move on from what has happened. I don't really see this about it kind of letting you go. I would be really surprised if that happened. However, I mean, I'm a realist. We're still in eclipse season, and you had an eclipse in your 6th house. You also have, you know, retrogrades involving your 6th house lord retrograding, you know, over your natal Saturn and the North Node. So the real defining moment is going to be the astrology that's going to happen over like the next week when you see Mercury retrograde conjunct Mars. Like I would probably say to most Aries risings, you're either going to make yourself sick, right, because of lack of sleep or just kind of emotional kind of tension, or you're going to be in a situation where you're going to go and make the decision that you're going to be looking for a new job. You're going to start looking for a new job, and there's a possibility that they may come back to you and go, oh, well, you know, we're not happy with this, we're not happy with that, and like we can't guarantee there's going to be a contract next year, and you will have already made the decision that you're like, I'm already looking somewhere else. So it won't hurt as bad because you're getting ahead of it. But this doesn't necessarily mean that the job is going to end. It's actually saying that there is a new possibility for you to connect with like a new institution and like put this behind you, because ultimately the 10 of Swords is about healing after going through this cycle, which feels like it's been really isolating and kind of painful and very difficult. So the saving grace is that Page of Cups that's coming up that's talking about a new opportunity and then being able to kind of move on to the next thing. So I would assume if they're hiring for the 2026 year, I mean, you're looking at probably needing to be applying now through like what, May, June, if you're going to be getting in there and be starting the new year in like July or August. So I would go looking for it, and I would be all on board with being like, it's about me wanting the change. Who cares what they want? You know, if you can get your mind on board with, I'm going to be looking, I'm going elsewhere, you will start to see things kind of follow in that path. And it's about letting it go and not feeling like you have to carry it into the next position. So hopefully that's helpful. Definitely let me know what happens with these transits after this next week, because that's going to be, like I said, that's going to be the real test. All right, we've got Sasha and Jenna and then Robert. Thank you guys for your patience. And then Amanda, I saw you got in there too. Let's see, Sasha. You're welcome. Matt, you need to get some carnelian, dude. You need to get some carnelian because you're going to need that with all that Aries energy that's going to be happening in the spring. I think if you have that on you, it's going to be so much more helpful for just really feeling that energy and kind of taking charge. All right, Sasha says, I've been experiencing synchronicities, but I can't tell if they're good or bad signs. I just want to know if I'm on the right path, not because I fear I'm getting in my own way with self-doubt, specifically with my desire to only do freelance work. Pisces sun, Cancer moon, Pisces rising. I would imagine you're seeing the synchronicities. I kind of feel like that's such an awesome combo to have right now with some of the astrology. Like Mercury retrograde in Pisces always speaks in like weird kind of synchronicities, downloads, emotional, intuitive kind of like aha moments, and like the Kazimi's taking place over the next day or two. So pay attention because it's going to be about you kind of recognizing and realizing I want to do work for myself, right? The sun represents the self in Pisces. And then when you've got Mercury coming into conjunction, it's like I only want to do something that's going to be best for me. I don't want to be having to feel like I'm servicing other people. Those trines to Jupiter in the 5th house is beautiful because it's really kind of saying you're getting that clarity from some of these Pisces transits that you have to be doing work that feels like is in alignment with what feels good, right? Especially with the trines to Pisces to Cancer in the 5th house. So having your Cancer moon there means you got to listen to your gut. All right, well, let's take a look. Certainly a lot of my Pisces risings are going to be very entrepreneurial in the next year. Saturn and Neptune in the 2nd house is like, I'm going to make my own way. All right, so what can we tell Sasha about these synchronicities? Are they good? Are they bad? Is she on the right path? Because she is wanting to do freelance work. I like it. The card that you get is the 6 of Coins, which I'm just going to go out on a limb here, not a Pisces, but I would imagine that a lot of Pisces have been kind of weighing things over the last, whether it's the last several weeks or the last several months. You know, there's been eclipses in Pisces and Virgo for like the last year and a half. I say that because the 6 of Pentacles is about giving and receiving. It's about this exchange. So, you know, obviously you see that there's like this element of scales and kind of weighing things going, where's my time better spent, right? Should I be investing more in myself? Should I be investing more in others? Can I really please other people? Or is there a sense of feeling like there's this endless kind of tug of war where the more that you're giving to other people, the less kind of fulfilled that you feel? And so being kind of in the driver's seat and having a say of where you're investing your time or your energy, right now it may feel scary and that you're at the precipice of like maybe making some big changes that may not necessarily upfront show you that security, but I think a lot of it's going to be the security that you're going to go and build personally. I think that with the 6 of Coins, it does mean what you put into something is what you're going to get out of it. And if you're willing to put forth the effort, the work, the intention, and you're investing your all into something that you know that you love and that you value, the universe will rise up to meet you. And you'll really see this, especially as we're getting into like the summertime when there's some retrogrades and things going on in the 5th house. Even if you decide not to do this, I feel that with the transits in June and July, it'll be like, if I haven't done it, now I need to do it. And I'm going to tell you that retrograde's not as fun. And maybe there is a sense of having to build and, you know, find ways to keep kind of tweaking and making some changes to your creative process and maybe offering new services or different things. So that way you feel like you can kind of start to really build and see the fruit of your labor. But the 6 of Pentacles is saying that if you're willing to do this, you're going to have people who are going to help you and support you. And it's going to be a better use of your energy and that exchange of your time. That at least you're going to be investing your all into something that you really love and like knowing your value and knowing, you know, what your worth is and what you want to charge. And that a lot of that I think is what's going to be kind of taught through the Saturn Neptune transit in your 2nd house, right? It's like, well, what can I charge? What is my worth? Like, what is my hourly rate that I'm going to charge? And I'm going to tell you, with the Saturn in the second house transit, you're only going to be worth as much as you believe that you are. So a lot of it requires a lot of faith and also knowing your worth, so that way you're not selling yourself short, you're not undercutting yourself. And if you are continuing to do the work you've been doing into the summer, you're going to be like feeling unfulfilled. So it's almost best to kind of jump all in right now, and also be focusing on networking, connecting with other people, so you can really streamline, you know, bringing in clients or working with people more regularly, or having people who are going to come back to you, and really nurturing those relationships. So that way you can kind of keep that flow of having clientele that's going to be coming your way. But yeah, you're definitely getting the right messages, that you're supposed to be really reevaluating where you're spending your time, and if it's kind of being put forth into projects that are actually going to bring you something valuable in the long run. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Sasha. Yeah, I would imagine all my Pisces risings and my Pisces are like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing all these weird synchronicities. What does it mean? All right, I've got Jenna, and then I've got Robert. I've got... Okay, edit on my writing project. Is it Edgar? It says Roy, so I don't know who it is. I'm in, and then I've got Amanda. We've got all of you guys. Emmy says, I see them so much I don't even believe them anymore. Just another day. I've been seeing them a lot lately, so I'm just kind of like, okay, I got the message. All right, so let's see what, let's see, who are we talking to? I've just lost my train of thought. Okay, so we've got Jenna. There you go. Jenna, and then Robert. What's up, Jenna? Virgo rising, Leo sun, Pisces moon. I got a reading with you a few weeks ago. You pulled some pretty significant good cards regarding a man coming in and a solid relationship coming. I think he's entered now. Jackson is his name. Can tarot confirm or ask about the connections? Yeah, we can do that. Let's take a look. Oh man, for those Virgo risings, all those like Pisces transits and the 7th and like the Mercury-Venus connection is like, ooh, is this one gonna stick? So let's take a look. What can we tell Jenna about Jackson? Is he the one that we saw coming? Tell us about this connection. What do we need to know? Here we go. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of, we're seeing a lot of repetitive cards. I like it because at least they're good cards, but a lot of it's interesting because it's in alignment with what's going on with some of the astrology. We've got the World, the Page of Swords, and the Six of Pentacles. I would just say, I think for like Virgo risings, maybe there has been a little bit of like trepidation into going back into relationships. I think you guys are one of the rising signs that have really kind of gotten the short end of the stick in recent years. You would think that the North Node in your 7th house is good, right? But Saturn and Neptune being there has kind of shown you more of what you don't want, I think, in recent years, or where you've met people who are lost or they're kind of confused. So I say that because Saturn and Neptune have left now. As Neptune goes into Aries, it's more about that deep soul connection. It's about vulnerability. It's about merger with other people. And it can seem scary, that idea of vulnerability, right? So with the World card coming up, it's saying you are now being gifted something karmically. And so they always say, like, when Saturn leaves a house, he leaves a gift, right? So like when Saturn leaves your 7th house, maybe you feel like it's been a war zone in a dating sense, or maybe it's been nobody that's come in or nothing has happened, but now this is your karmic gift. This is the parting gift. The world is saying the cycle has completed. You've gone through the lessons. Now you're ready for a deeper kind of connection and commitment. He seems very witty. I would say like the Page of Swords kind of coming up is somebody who's inquisitive, they're smart, they can carry a conversation, they want to know about you, they're interested in you, and like communication can be really good with this card, especially when it's like calling, emailing, all that stuff, because there's not a sense of kind of questioning and wondering like, are they interested? Like clearly he's making himself interested because there's a lot of back and forth communication. There can be opportunities for you guys to do some traveling together. This can also mean that it's really highlighting some of the things that have been lacking in relationships in recent years, where somebody was not as communicative as you would like them to be, or maybe they weren't always checking in with you or asking you how you're doing, or there wasn't like this sense of clarity. And I think with like the Page of Swords coming up, it's saying, yes, it's a new connection, right? A page represents something that's kind of new and kind of foreign. But it's exciting, and somebody who is going to kind of be in the driver's seat and be like, hey, I want to go and do this. Do you want to do this? Or they're going to be asking your input on things. So it's like a real partnership. The Page of Swords can also be talking about air signs. So I don't know if he is, but like a Gemini, Aquarius, or a Libra. It can also be saying that this is an important person for you to meet because you're going to learn about the give and take in relationships. Six of Pentacles, again. So this is about what you're putting into it and what you're getting in return. And this, I think, in this case is saying you're finally meeting somebody who's kind of at your level, somebody who wants to be in a relationship, or they have a lot of love to give, or they want to be able to kind of dedicate some of their free time to somebody. And if you're willing to open yourself up, you're going to see like a mirror kind of reaction with him, where the more that you're willing to engage, the more that he's willing to engage. And you'll see just you guys get closer and closer and closer. There's no cups coming up. So it's not guaranteeing that it's going to be this whirlwind relationship or like romance. However, personally, I would much rather have Pentacles because I feel like the Wands can be just very kind of sexual and passionate. The Cups can be more about emotions, but things don't always kind of materialize in the physical plane. And I think that this is the relationship that comes in where somebody's going to ask you a lot of questions about what you want, what you're looking for. If he has these conversations with you, pay attention. What have your past relationships been like? What is your favorite color? What do you like to do on Sunday mornings? Where have you ever wanted to travel? This guy clearly is like trying to learn you. Like he's taking notes. He's paying attention because he's trying to see what it is that you're looking for, because there is some interest in trying to be that person that kind of meets all of your kind of like expectations or standards. This is also somebody who wants to feel like they have something to offer you. So like there's like this sense of like excitement that he has about you because he wants to be able to kind of bring something into your life that you don't have. He wants to do things for you, or he wants to do things with you. So that Six of Pentacles is very much like if you show up and you do the same thing, then this could actually be a really solid relationship that has room to really grow and develop into something that could be very valuable and like long lasting, right? So it's not all of the romance and the passion and all that stuff. Sure, you can have that. But it's saying it's built off of trust. It's built off of consistency. It's built off of showing up for one another. And like that is a really great foundation that you're kind of laying here. And I think he's going to teach you just a lot about communication and relationships. So really great cards. Glad to see that you got your Saturn gift. And you'll have to keep me updated and let me know what happens with the dude. But I like the cards. Puppy says, I wasn't going to do tarot this month, but I changed your mind. All right, Puppy, send me your question and I'll put you in the list. All right, so Robert, I don't have a question from you, Robert. Let's see, did you send a message? If you're here, send me a message in the chat so I know what your question is. Yeah, I don't see it here. I'm going to go on to Roy. I love the numerology there. Thank you. All right, this is for Roy. Roy has a one card question. Ryan Murphy edit on my writing project, Edgar. All right. Well, let's see what we can tell you about your writing project. What do the cards have to say about that while I'm waiting on Robert? All right, this is for you, Roy. What do we need to know about this writing project? Like Ryan Murphy, like the Ryan Murphy? Oh, that card kind of popped out. It wanted to be seen. Seven of Cups. Okay. So this is the card that I got, Ace of Cups. So obviously, in a writing project and like a professional kind of dynamic, I feel like with the Ace of Cups coming up, it's like somebody being like, I love it. Like if it's something that you're working on, that you wrote, something that you put together, it's somebody being like, I love it. Like some kind of partnership, right? Because usually the Ace of Cups is talking about that initiation of connection, collaboration, partnership, kind of working side by side. So when you say it's an edit on your writing project, I kind of wonder, is it going to bleed into being like, okay, well, let's continue to work together. Or, like I want to help you with this project, or I want to connect you with somebody, or I want to help you, get into a meeting so that way this can be seen by another person. But the Ace of Cups is the beginning of a beautiful working partnership. The card that was kind of popping out next to it, it tried to kind of jump up, was also the Seven of Cups. So if there has been some doubt or some kind of questioning as to, is this going to get out there? Is somebody going to see it? Is it going to be well received? You know, how am I going to kind of get this out into the open, or get somebody who wants to kind of bite or buy it or help turn it into something? I feel like all of your SOS calls are being answered, because that Ace of Cups coming up as somebody being like, well, I'll work with you. Sure, I'll take a look at it. Like, let me see what I can do. So it does seem to me like it's trying to provide you with some support and also some clarity if you've been kind of doubting whether or not this project is actually going to take off and if it's going to grow legs. Really, it's about nurturing the relationship too. You know, the Ace of Cups is kind of saying somebody's going to show up and they're going to have something to offer you, but it's important because the next card is the Two of Cups, that it's an exchange. It's not a one-way street. He may give you feedback. You might go back and forth and then be like, hey, thank you. I really appreciate that. Sometimes gift giving is associated with this as well. So it's like maybe he's sitting down with you and having a meeting and doing an edit or reviewing something, and you're like, I really appreciate that. Here, you know, I got you a bottle of wine, or I got you something nice. Just to show gratitude and appreciation for, you know, his willingness to kind of work with you. If you're wondering whether or not somebody's going to have an interest in like working with you or picking something up, I would say the answer would be yes. So whether you're waiting for a response from him, or if you're wondering whether or not there's going to be connections made from him, or if he's going to be kind of helping you in some way, or giving you compliments or feedback and being like, hey, this is what I love, this is what's working, you know, this is what I would do. Be open to that, because it looks like whoever's going to be giving you feedback, they're going to be doing this with the best intentions, because they're really going to see that it has room for growth and for development. And they're going to be somehow emotionally kind of involved and being like, well, let me know what happens. Like, you know, if you know, come back to me and check in with me and let me know how things go. They may want to be along for the ride to kind of hear how the project is progressing. So that relationship and nurturing that relationship, I think, is going to be important. So that way the lines of communication are open, because you never know how, you know, somebody can kind of help you in the future. But feeling very emotionally invested in this too, and being like, this is what I'm doing, this is my end all be all right now, also kind of comes through. And that maybe there's been some doubting the project or questioning whether or not it's going to actually take off, but being very devoted to wanting to see it come to completion, to fruition, seems to be very significant for you. So fingers crossed. I hope that all the good things are coming, especially those of you guys who are like writers and stuff right now. Like with Mercury trining Jupiter, there's a lot of just feeling like emotionally I have to keep going with this project, and I've seen it bring a lot of people some really good stuff. So is Robert here? I'm going to keep calling for Robert. And if you guys want to get in the queue, scan the QR code so you can get on the queue. I'm just catching up. Oh, Roy, Ed. Okay, yeah, that was for you, Roy, Ed, Edgar's. Sorry, there's like 3 names there, so I'm like, who is this for? Puppies, do you have your question? T. Zuli says, I'm a Pisces rising, 22 degrees. I'm getting a lot of downloads, definitely very emotional insights, but I'm incredibly tired. I've never slept this many hours in my life. I can imagine. I've seen a lot of just people feeling really drained with this one. Part of it's the Saturn Neptune stuff too. All right, I'm going to take Iman and then Amanda. We're waiting on Puppies. We're waiting on Robert. Omar got in there. Elizabeth got in there. All right, so let's go to Iman. Scorpio rising, struggling with my job, feeling isolated and lost in the workplace. I don't know what to do. I don't think my coworkers, management are very fond of me. Careful where your mind goes with that Saturn-Neptune transit in your 6th house. Be careful. It's a little hard to feel the love right now, I think, with some of the planets that are moving through there. Certainly the 6th house is coworkers, and so like Venus is kind of hovering around, you know, Saturn and Neptune today and over the weekend. So if you don't work over the weekend, it's a little bit easier to navigate. But to be honest with you, Saturn can represent lack of communication. So you might feel like they're not as friendly with you, or like you don't really know how to communicate with them. And then Neptune is like people who are kind of like distant, or like they're not engaging. So let's take a look and let's see what we can tell you about work and struggling with your job. What do you need to know? Okay, 3 of Cups. I mean, sounds like really crazy advice here, but hear me out. Venus is the first planet to cross into Aries since the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. And sometimes like Saturn-Neptune can represent these invisible barriers where we feel like we're not connecting, or we're kind of isolated, or we're kind of distant. And Venus is going in there. So you got the Three of Cups, which is completely opposite of some of the energies that you're kind of feeling, which is good, because the Three of Cups is about being a part of the crowd, being a part of the team, feeling wanted, feeling invited, feeling warmth, togetherness, you know, like it is saying that there is an opportunity to kind of bring the team together and feel like you're finding your tribe. Now that can also mean that you're kind of questioning whether or not you should go, or you feel like there's going to be better camaraderie and kind of team spirit, and kind of feeling like people are going to be a little friendlier. But I have a feeling that if you use some of the Venus transits, at least over the next 6 months to your next several weeks, to your advantage, it can actually better the relational kind of dynamic that you have, right? So like Scorpio risings, Venus rules your 7th house. So it's about relationships and partnerships, both romantic, but also in business. It also rules your 12th house of the subconscious. Here's an easy hack. Go to work this week, okay? Take something sweet. Go and get like some pink, you know, glazed donuts, or go and get like some cookies that have like cinnamon in it or something spiced. Bring flowers into work, right? Or maybe just do something that's either going to be spiced or red, but bring it into work and just do that as your sacrifice. That's your kind of Saturn Neptune thing. I'm bringing this in. And if you do something like that, like the morale can actually change. And this is about feeling like a part of the group, or kind of feeling well received. Don't have any expectations or anything attached to it. You can just basically be like, oh yeah, I was, you know, baking cookies this weekend and I wanted to bring some in for you guys. Or I had a bunch of, you know, like coupons to go and get some, you know, breakfast sandwiches, or whatever it is that you want to bring in. Bring something in, because that's kind of ushering in that energy of Venus being in the 6th house, which can actually smooth over and heal some of the relationship dynamics. But I'm not going to candy coat it. You know, Saturn and Neptune being in the 6th house is going to show you where there can be some people that you're working with that you kind of feel like you're isolating, you're feeling isolated or kind of separate from, and questioning whether or not you like something about your work environment. So it can also mean bringing into your 6th house, maybe you're bringing in, you know, crystals, or you're bringing in something that's going to kind of revamp, or even feng shui something about your office space, or making some changes in your desk and moving some stuff around. It can help. So can sound, or like music. So I don't know if you're like in a position where you can be listening to music or kind of changing the atmosphere or the vibe at work, but that can be beneficial. But the card's positive. It's saying that there is the opportunity to kind of reconnect to some of the people that you're working with. And I would say don't automatically go into the transit just assuming people don't like you, they don't want to deal with you, because that can be the lower kind of octave of Saturn and Neptune. That's just like, oh, why do I even want to connect with them? They don't want to talk to me. Try to go and sweeten the pot in this next week, and you might just notice how people are just going to be a little bit more friendly and be detached from any outcome. You have to do it and make that sacrifice kind of willingly, right? Hopefully that's helpful for you. All right, let's see. So we've got Puppies, my dog. Okay, hold on, let me put you up here so that way I remember that I spoke to you. My dog being sick, friendships, new relationship opportunities. To sum it up, tired of all the loss and grief. Scorpio rising, lots of Scorpio in my chart. You're welcome. I have Saturn in my 7th natal chart. I'm waiting for Jupiter to enter my 10th house this summer. I don't know if the job is worth it. Well, for a lot of Scorpio risings, Jupiter going into the 10th house and the eclipses are going to be rather significant. Jupiter will trine Saturn. So really you're going to want to watch like mid-April, like early to mid-April, when Mars goes into the 6th house and it hits Mercury and it also hits Saturn. That'll be a time where it's going to test your relationships with people at work. But you're really building the foundation through the 6th house transits to start seeing all the glow up that's going to happen at work over the summer. And if you decide to quit a job or change a job, then it's going to be a better shift that's going to happen in like July, August timeframe. All right, so Puppies is dealing with a dog being sick. I'm sorry. Friendships, new relationship opportunities, to sum it up. Tired of all the loss and the grief. Scorpio rising. A lot of Scorpio in my chart. My question is, will things get better with my life because everything sucks? Oh, I feel for my Scorpio risings, man. The Saturn-Neptune transits are not fun when they enter into your 6th house. Remember, the 6th house is pets, work, coworkers, but also it's enemies. And so we don't really realize with Aries in the 6th house that sometimes with Saturn and Neptune, Saturn rules your emotions through your 4th house. It rules your words through your 3rd house. Scorpio risings, trust me when I tell you, that mindset of, and I know I'm coming out of the transit, everything sucks, nothing's working, everything's falling apart, it's a lot of work. Yes, that's how the transit starts. But as somebody who's on the other side of it, who just completed my Saturn Neptune in the 6th, it's all about service. It's all about service. And whether that's looking at, you know, taking care of your dog, and yeah, it sucks. I'm a dog mom, you know, to have pets that are sick, but to be like, okay, Saturn, I'm willing to take on the heavy lifting of caring for the dog, taking them to the vet, feeding them the food, giving them medication, taking them outside, nurturing them. If you do those things, Saturn will reward you. And we want to do those things anyway, but Saturn will reward you. Saturn, Neptune is like sick pets, literally. I also think that there is this feeling of you being like, I don't know how much I can take on. And so it'll kind of show you where you can get overwhelmed at the beginning of the transit. And you're kind of saying to yourself, I only have so many hours in the day, or, you know, I can't take care of everybody else and then not take care of myself. And that's also part of it, is that it teaches you that in order for you to be able to be of service to other people, because it's the next house over is the 7th, time, dedication, organization, productivity. I mean, all of these things are big themes with Saturn and Neptune. So you have to really structure your routine in a way that's difficult, because you have to be able to service other people, and you also have to take care of yourself. So you're going to learn how to do both. Are things going to get better? That is the question. 3 of Swords, 6 of Swords, Page of Wands. Well, I think I would say this anyway. And just personally, the only thing that really helped me during this transit was working out, being active, because the 6th house is about body maintenance and hygiene and physical fitness, and it's connected to doctors, it's connected to going to gyms and things like that. Like, working out was the only thing that made me feel better. Obviously you're starting the spread, you know, with the 3 of Swords, right? So you're kind of like, man, I'm just sick, getting my heart broken. You know, there's stuff that's coming up that just is really hard for me to kind of move through. And there's just a lot of feeling kind of really flustered and not really feeling like you're getting what you want, and having to heal something. So it's also going to kind of show you where that rawness and where that pain and that vulnerability is coming up, and that you need to tend to it, right? And so as Scorpio risings, Saturn and Neptune are not just going into your 6th house, it's now in conjunct or quincunx you. So a lot of my Scorpio risings don't realize that negative emotions, repressed feelings, you know, not having healthy habits can now start manifesting as health issues, inflammation, sinus issues, allergy issues, blood disorders, things that are connected to migraines, headaches. Watch out for some of this stuff, because it's all going to be manifesting and showing you where there's some emotional stuff that you're not dealing with. I think the current card, being the 6 of Wands, is the card of victory. So if you're asking me, am I going to overcome some of this stuff? Is it going to get better? Yes, the answer is yes. I think you're going to see stuff really, especially for Scorpio rising charts, I would say 6 months from now. I know that sounds like a ways away, but 6 months from now, when you get into July and August, when you start seeing Jupiter going into your career house, where you're either expanding in your career, getting a new job, moving up in rank, making more money. I mean, some of those things are going to start happening. And also the eclipses are going to be kind of bringing up some of the same stuff. And those planets that are going through Leo are going to trine Saturn in your 6th. Now I've had earlier this year, Jupiter in my 10th, trining my 6th house, Saturn and Neptune. Now it's done. But for me, what kept me going was me being like, I have to stay on this routine. I have to be rigid. I have to keep putting out the work. I know that I'm going to kind of reap the rewards. And now I'm just starting to see some of those things that are kind of happening. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But I think the 6 of Wands is about feeling like you're victorious and you're celebrated and you're getting the recognition where the recognition is due. And you may feel like you're doing a lot of just slave labor and busy work, you know, basically between now and the end of April. That's where it's going to be, I think, the most difficult. Because Mars rules your chart. So Mars is going to go into your 6th house, where malefics do better in the 6th house, but that's where you're going to have to work overtime, or there's more work for the pets. There's more, you know, actual literal work for you to do, and you have to really maintain your health. Page of Wands is about getting moving. Okay. So moving your body, or doing something that is going to be about having time in the sun. It can also mean creative projects and hobbies, which Neptune rules your 5th house. So part of this is not just about work and taking care of sick animals. It can mean that you're like, well, do I have to schedule in, you know, free time, or do I have to schedule in time where I can be having a hobby, or I am dating, or, you know, I do make once a week that is going to be, you know, an art night where I'm crafting or I'm taking a class.
I'm playing an instrument. There has to be something that you're integrating into your routine where you have playtime. That's so incredibly important. And Aries is something that you do on your own, or you do it for yourself. So whether it's a dance class, an art class, if it's going to be a hobby, a side hustle, a business, integrating that and having that creative outlet, I think is so important, because otherwise you just feel like it's all work and no play, and you're not making time for like that kind of spiritual, creative, inspirational kind of connection. That will help alleviate some of these things. But will things get better? Yes, but I got to be honest with you guys. End of March into April is going to get real for the Scorpio rising charts. And then as you're kind of getting out of that into the summer, things are going to start to kind of subside, and it's going to get easier. When I had Mars and Neptune and Saturn in my 6th house, fitness was the only, like working out and fitness was the only thing that helped. Otherwise, I was like constantly tired, or I was sleeping too much, or I wasn't staying on my diet, or I was having weird allergies. You know, I laugh, but every time I have like the Mars transits in my 6th house, or I have retrogrades in my 6th house, my dogs all get sick. Like, it does not matter what dog it is. It's been like this for the last couple of years. The dogs just like to puke when Mercury goes retrograde in my 6th house. She said, oh, and that guy I was involved with had a girlfriend, and he lied to me the whole time, and he's a narcissist, and I haven't had a relationship in almost 6 years. Well, the 6th house is where you're shoring up all of the relationship karma, and everything kind of comes out in the open before you go into the 7th house, right? So you'll see a lot of like Venus going through the 6th house. That started today. It's just a lot of being like, okay, I need to heal from past relationship issues. But things will definitely start to kind of improve after you're getting past April. Aries in the 5th house still for you. So, I mean, it's still picking up that energy of like the dating stuff, but it's still about the creative energies and the hobbies, and needing to integrate more of that into your routine. Things that are going to make you happy. That's really what the 5th house is all about. All right, guys, we have called last call, so we're closing that down. But if you're on the list, then I've got you. Let's see. Robert? Anybody? Robert? Hopefully that's helpful, puppy. Let me know what happens. I hope your dog's doing okay. All right, I've got Amanda. What's up, Amanda? Oh, do my reading last if possible. Okay. If you're here, let me know, but I can do your reading last. All right, we're going to go to Janiki. Am I saying your name right? So we've got, Jan says, I've got 2 creative projects, abstract painting, or I'm channeling much excess energy. Herbal infused skincare is the other one. I have deep need for creativity and romance right now, but I'm exhausted from the daily grind. How do I find the balance in supporting myself to live my dreams? All right, well, that sounds like some really cool projects you're working on. So herbal infused skincare, I love that. And also abstract painting. All right, so you want more time for creativity and romance, but you're exhausted. So how can we give you some advice on how to find the balance? Let's see. I laugh that some of the same cards are coming up. 6 of Wands, the 4 of Cups, and we've got the 4 of Swords. When I think about 4s, I think about getting grounded. And it doesn't mean that you can't do both of these things, but it does mean that you're going to see success in one of the arenas of one of the projects before you see success in one of the other ones. So with 6 of Wands coming up, it's saying like, look, these things are going to go well. Like, they're going to pan out well. Like, you're going to be able to have the success to feel like you can have romance, and you can also have some of your career endeavors that are kind of taking place. But there is this energy with the 4 of Cups and the 4 of Swords that makes me feel like you can be chugging along, and then you kind of get burnt out because, and anybody who does any type of creative work, it doesn't matter if it's blending things or painting things or whatever, like, you need to have like a muse. You know, like, there needs to be something, some kind of purpose or something that kind of keeps you going, so you feel inspired to kind of keep those creative juices flowing, right? Does that make sense? So I feel like with the 6 of Wands coming up, it's saying like, look, pace yourself. In the end, these projects are going to be successful. You're really looking at over the next 6 months. But the 4 of Cups is saying that there is this longing for connection, right? And so when this card comes up, you know, you obviously see him kind of sitting there underneath the tree, and The Three of Cups is in front of him. So there is the opportunity to have multiple connections. And it's basically saying people are there, connection is there, but you're not seeing what it is that you want. Like there can almost be the sense of being too focused on, well, I don't have love, I don't have romance, I don't have relationships, that you can get so wrapped up in that you start to kind of believe it, and it limits your opportunity for connecting with people when people are right in front of you. So it's saying that there are people that, you know, would walk down the street who would be like, yeah, I'd go on a date with her, you know, or like would want to talk to you. But there is this sense of being so wrapped up in what you're doing and not your projects, but feeling like that's all that there is and that you can't see anything other than that. So when this card comes up, I always tell people, like, look beyond the problem. If the problem is I'm burnt out, I'm not making time for, you know, feeling inspired or for romance, or I'm not really feeling like I'm getting that kind of connection, then rather than being focused on the problem, be about the solution. And I think it's maybe going to be about kind of going back and forth and giving a little bit of space from one of the projects. And I say that because you also get the Four of Swords. So the Four of Swords is usually about downtime, rest, recuperation. It can mean that there is a sense of you not quitting, but taking a step back. And like, if you're somebody who paints, obviously, you know, I mean, most people who paint professionally will tell you that their pieces are never, ever complete. You just keep going back to it, keep going back to it, keep going back to it. But it makes me feel like whether it's the blending or it's going to be the painting, there is something that you can kind of start to put on back burner right now. You can, because it's not going anywhere. That energy has already been initiated. You've already started these projects. And like, you need some time to regenerate some of your energy and like feel like you can kind of pour into yourself again, so that way you can be 100% for another person. So when this card comes up, I always tell people, now is not the time to push this, or now is not the time to feel like you have to launch this, or you need time to sit on it and kind of think about it. You'd be surprised if you take a step back away from one of the projects for a little bit and you let it have some breathing room, that you may approach looking at your painting in a completely different way in a matter of a couple of weeks. Or you may come back and have some fresh ideas about what you're going to be blending after you're not sitting there blending and creating all of the skincare and doing all of that stuff. I mean, literally just had the same conversation with my husband last night. I was like, there's a million different things that I want to do, and I feel like I'm just like spreading myself thin on everything, and I want to be totally devoted to one thing. And like, the energy right now with all the Pisces stuff is like very scattered. It's hard to be able to feel like we can be 100% with one thing, because stuff is kind of coming and going during the retrogrades. Watch for probably some pretty significant messages that you're going to be getting that's like, hey, it's okay, you don't need to rush to the finish line. Let this kind of marinate. Put it on back burner, open yourself up to having some more kind of romantic connections, let the creative energy and the inspiration kind of flow, and then you'll come back to it and you'll see things in a new light. And it's all kind of like in divine timing. So knowing that both of these things are going to be, I think, successful. And also, I do think that there is like a sense of, with the Four of Cups and the Four of Swords, a lot of like feeling alienated, feeling isolated, kind of feeling alone. And so it's kind of hard to vibe and create and be able to kind of share and get feedback, and wanting that feedback, not just from your friends and your family, but like a romantic partner or a creative partner, you know, basically showing up and being like, yeah, that's great. Or, you know, make this tweak or make that tweak, like wanting to share that with somebody. And so I think that's also going to be kind of helpful in feeling more confident with some of the stuff that you're working on. And I think that if you get a little bit of time where you're not kind of burning the candles at both ends, then you'll be able to complete one project, make time for romantic connections, come back to it, and then be able to see it with like a set of fresh eyes and have lots of new ideas and things creatively that's actually really going to enhance the project overall. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Interesting cards. All right, we've got Elizabeth, and I'm still waiting for Robert, but that's okay. Elizabeth, Omar, and Fabby. Is that everybody? And then Amanda, she's at the end. All right, Elizabeth. What's up, girl? Oh, I didn't see your message until just now. Sorry about that. Level 4. I'm saving my free one for next week. All right. For astrology, Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun, Scorpio Mercury. Capricorn moon, Virgo Mars, Libra Venus chart. I've been having a tough time emotionally. My new dog is now sick to her stomach. I need to make more friends. I want to find a new relationship because I haven't been in a relationship with someone I loved. I haven't been in a relationship since someone I loved overdosed in 2020. I found my latest situationship person I cared about is a narcissist I shouldn't diagnose, who had a girlfriend for 12 years and was cheating on her and lying to my face. I'm no longer giving him my time or energy. It's just a lot at once to process. What do the 3 cards predict for my life getting better or challenges up ahead? Taking things one day at a time. What the hell? Has to get better from here, right? Oh, my Scorpio risings. So you guys have to understand that, yes, the 6th house is work, it's routine, it's health, it's pets, and you will see issues in those departments. But the 6th house is 12th to the 7th house. So there is a lot of clearing out secrets and hidden things and stuff connected to relationships. It's a lot of healing and kind of preparing yourself before you go into relationship land. So whether you're doing this now before you get into April, May, or you're doing this now before Saturn eventually gets into Taurus, in about 2 years' time. I could definitely see, especially with all the Scorpio that you have in your chart, because, Aries is in conjunct, or it's quincunx to the ascendant, and Scorpio is about crisis and it's about transmuting crisis, and like Aries is about the self, that as you see all those planets go in there, it's at odds with Scorpio. And like these are 2 Martian energies. So part of the process is eliminating frustration, anger, eliminating disease, eliminating illness, and whether that's with your pets, if that's with you, if that's going to be with people at work, you see that stuff come up. And there's a lot of hidden things in relationships that now finally start to kind of make themselves known, and you have to kind of clear them out. So let's see what we can tell Elizabeth about the challenges that she's going through. Let's see if we can give her 3 cards that are going to help her out with her path. And she says, things can only get better from here. Well, that's true. The Empress, the 7 of Wands, the 2 of Wands. Great cards. I really feel like the Empress can be talking about the Venus transit. And so I'd be paying attention because Venus just went into your 6th house now. And so, really this is about love and devotion and commitment to service. And so whether this is taking care of your dog, if this is about focusing on your health, if this is about going and checking in with somebody who can give you a little TLC physically or emotionally, like I think like massage, aromatherapy, anything that's connected to like hot yoga, stretching, anything like that can be good. Like heat and warmth can actually be really good for kind of purging and purifying the body. But I say that because the Empress comes up and Venus is the Empress. So it is saying really what you're going into this with is a lot of love, a lot of care, a lot of needing to nurture yourself, a lot of needing to learn how to better the relationship with yourself and protect your energy, and also take care of those who are around you, because ultimately the Empress card really wants growth. It wants abundance, it wants life, it wants beauty, it wants pleasure. And I feel for my Scorpio risings right now, because not only do you have Venus going through a sign that you guys don't like, but it's also going through a house that requires you to really roll up your sleeves and do things for the people that we love, do things for the animals that we love. It means sometimes we have to make some kind of sacrifice. We have to serve. So I think something that got me a long way through the Saturn-Neptune transits in the 6th house is every time I was cleaning up dog puke, or every time I was, cleaning faces, or anytime I was working out or doing anything 6th house oriented, even though I hated it, I was like, oh, I'm so grateful to have this experience. And I know that sounds like crazy and counterproductive, but like that's how you work with Saturn in the 6th house. It's, okay, it humbles you. I'm here to clean up after animals. I'm here to serve other people. I am here to be humbled by my gym experiences or my health experiences. And some of these health and service related things or cleaning up related things will literally help you kind of get through the Saturn transit. Literally cleaning will do that. If you're cleaning, it's going to help you feel better. 7 of Wands. So the 7 of Wands coming up as the right now card is like you going, I'm not backing down. Like I'm not going to be knocked down. Okay. So there is this sense of this newfound sense of strength. I think self-respect. I think it's also going to be about awareness of what you will and will not tolerate, especially when it comes to healthy relationship habits or like your lifestyle. And now you're basically saying like, okay, I'm not going to back down. I'm going to fight this. And so that's the nature of Scorpio. That's also the nature of Aries. So whether that means you're looking at it going, I'm not going to struggle through this. I'm going to keep pushing and kind of forging on. I'm going to be, self-reliant. I'm going to be independent. I'm going to handle it. A lot of I am affirmations would be really helpful for you. So get up in the morning, have a whole list of things that you are working through that you tell yourself every morning. Pick 4 or 5 different things of I am healthy, I am strong, I am capable, I'm independent, I'm thriving, whatever it is, every morning. And it can also be a mantra that you're doing when you're cleaning, right? When you are working out, when you are serving other people, because it will help you kind of stay on top of the energy and not feel like it's using you. Part of the lesson, I think, of having these planets in your 6th house is really, it's like limbo. The 6th house is really supposed to be about your habits and your routine and whether or not you're getting things done. And so it teaches you a lot about health and organization, when in reality, it's saying that you're dealing with all of the different day-to-day kind of experiences that you have to promote good physical health. But sometimes that we realize, so the opposition of the 12th is, we can be doing all of those things and be super healthy and productive and busy, but like mentally we can be falling apart. That's the polarity to the 12th house. So as Venus goes through there is a sense of you getting a little bit of a taste of both. And I feel like the more that you're moving your body, you're being resilient, and you're also reminding yourself that this will pass, the easier it's going to be. And like I've said to other Scorpio risings, it will get easier once you guys are getting into May. Saturn will still be there for 2 years. And you just started a new Saturn-Neptune cycle, which will last for 36. So you're setting the stage for healthier habits for the next 36 years. And I've told all of my Scorpio risings, because Saturn and Neptune is there, not leading on drugs, alcohol, sleep, binging Netflix, unhealthy eating habits, unhealthy work habits. All of those things need to be reworked. And so if you're not happy, something in the lifestyle needs to change. I would say get moving. 7 of Wands is like, go hiking, get on a treadmill, go and get somewhere where you can go uphill, or there's some kind of goal. Saturn is the goat, right? So Saturn climbs the mountain. So especially like when I think about Saturn going in my when it was in my 6th house, I specifically was like, okay, I want to go and do something physically that I haven't been able to do. And I wanted to be able to scale up in some of my physical fitness classes. And I ended up with a particularly, I think, direct and a little stern teacher. But it ended up being really good for me throughout that process, because it made me like not back down. Like if I tried to cancel class, she'd be like, why aren't you coming in? Or why haven't you been here? Or what's been going on? Or if I tried to take beginner classes, she'd be like, no, you need to go into the advanced classes. She kept pushing me. So something that's going to push you is really good when you have this card, because it's going to be holding you accountable and ensuring that you're staying on top of the ball. 2 of Wands is basically saying that now things are starting to open up. You're going to see things from a different perspective, whether that's how you live your lifestyle, how you're navigating relationships, where you're working, what your day-to-day is like. And I do think that this is about you being a little bit more optimistic and kind of getting over this hump over the next 2 months, and then being like, okay, what else are you going to throw at me? And by the time you're getting to the summertime, all the Scorpio risings will see this. If you lay the foundation for health, commitment, productivity, and service for the next 2 months, come the summertime when the Jupiter trines start happening, it's so good. And then it's going to be fire trines. So a lot of you guys are going to be more confident, making more money. You're going to be a lot more productive. You're going to be feeling like you're just like you're on fire, and you're going to be feeling like doors are opening for you, particularly when it comes to the direction of where things are going. I would say with your job. Now you're asking about like relationships and stuff. And to me, this seems like there's more of an emphasis on focusing on you and where you're going. And then things start to open up, and then you can kind of see whether or not, okay, could I go back into dating again? Could I meet somebody again? Take a look at what's going on with your natal Venus. That's going to tell you what's going to happen. Especially knowing that there's going to be a Venus retrograde later this year. So if you haven't found anybody by about the fall, you'll see with the Venus retrograde, it can actually bring somebody right into you, because it'll be your sign. But right now, it's like all hands on deck when it comes to focusing on taking care of yourself and making sure that you're encouraging yourself. And also, I think a lot of Saturn going through the 6th house is just about building endurance. A lot of it's also going to be about, practicing responsibility when it comes to your health and your time management. So if you can do that and really ensure that you're meeting goals and that you're staying on top of your routine, you're going to get a couple months down the road and you're going to be like, okay, I was able to kind of handle that. And you'll be feeling accomplished because of what you've been able to overcome. So good things are on the way. Great cards for you. Lots of action there. All right, we've got Omar and then Fabby and then Amanda. What's up, Omar? Hey, Candace, I just want to ask theme for the month, future of my current job, and where to place my attention for the month. Libra rising, Sag sun, Taurus moon. Well, how are you feeling with the Saturn, Neptune, Venus stuff in your 7th? Let's take a look. So first is going to be the theme for the month of March. All right, I like that. So the theme that you get for the month of March is 9 of Pentacles. 9 of Pentacles. So this is kind of like feeling yourself, feeling confident, feeling that you're capable of providing for yourself, indulgent. It's about luxury. It's about bringing in all of the good things. This can also mean that there is a sense of you being like, I'm fine on my own. I don't need any help. So really feeling independent, wanting to kind of stand on your own, not really feeling like you need somebody to support you. And also this can be a card that's about indulgences because, well, she's a wealthy, well-kept woman. I know you're a man, but it can basically mean that you're looking at situations going, okay, you know, how much do I need other people? Or can I do it on my own? Do I want to make a luxury purchase? Do I want to invest myself in something significant? And it usually foretells that there's going to be some good financial and kind of job-related things that are going to happen within the next month. What's interesting is that I can't help but notice, like as a Libra rising, Venus is your chart ruler, okay? So now Venus is in your 7th house. So you can assume for the next 3 weeks or so, there's a lot of relational opportunities and things that are going on. But Venus is meeting with Neptune over the weekend. So there can be some kind of like attraction, connection to somebody who's foreign, somebody who's different. It can also be working with clients or, you know, enhancing a current relationship. And then on Sunday and Monday, Venus is going to hit Saturn. Pay attention to the next couple of days. That's going to be really significant for relationship stuff that's going to be going on. But it seems like you're like, I'm cool and doing my own thing. I'm really kind of feeling myself and I'm focusing on what I'm kind of growing. And then the future of your current job, you get the Queen of Wands. So this is basically saying feeling bold, that you're willing to take risks and chances, focusing on growth and development. It can be this through the support of a partnership or through a fire sign, a relationship with a fire sign or a woman. I think as like a Libra rising, you know, Jupiter getting ready to go direct this week is pretty significant. You know, the days revolving around a planet going direct, you see some big stuff happening. So some Libras and Libra risings are going to see over the next week or so big opportunities to make announcements at work, contracts, negotiations, travel for work, anything that's maybe connecting to media, writing, sharing, you know, anything online. And likely it's foretelling that there's now a period where now work can grow. And I think knowing that Mercury's been retrograde, you know, in your 6th house, there's a lot of, well, is my job changing? Is my office changing? Is my schedule changing? What's going on with work? And all the trines to Jupiter are actually trying to get everything in order so you can have more success down the road. So pay attention who's trying to help you with that process, who's encouraging you maybe to take risks and to make changes, where you're feeling a little bit more incentivized to really enjoy what you're doing. I mean, even Mars going through the 6th house means that there's going to be a lot more kind of work to be done. And it may mean that you have to be more diplomatic and be focusing on working with other people as Mars rules your 7th. And watch for female relationships because, well, we have Venus going in there and now you've got the Queen of Wands. And then Omar says the final card is about where to place my attention this month in March, okay? What's up, D? Ace of Wands, wow. Well, passions, creativity, spark, excitement, fulfillment, anything that's going to kind of get your blood flowing. I mean, the Ace of Wands is a great card. I mean, I really feel like it's talking about the equinox is coming, right? So we're going to see around, what is it, the 19th, 20th, 21st of March, right around there, you're going to see the sun go into Aries. Okay, so it's also highlighting your 7th house, but that's that reset of where you are taking action, where there's collaboration, creativity, opportunity to connect with other people. 7th house can be clients. It can also be business partnerships. It doesn't have to be romantic. But the Ace of Wands is about planting a seed and watching something grow. Where you're feeling inspired. So your fire houses are going to be your 7th of relationships, your 11th of social activities and connections, your 3rd of communication and learning. So as all these planets over the next month are going into Aries, first Venus, then you're going to see Mercury and the Sun, and then Mars. They're all going to be meeting with Saturn and Neptune. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for relationships, new clients, new partnerships, collaborations, business partnerships. Other people are coming in. And I can't help but notice, like, Venus going into Aries, Saturn and Neptune being in Aries, like, watch for women with red hair. Or watch for women who could be foreign, or people who are involved in art or spirituality, or people who are more creative. It might be somebody who's coming in that inspires you to say, hey, I want to collaborate, or I want to work with that person, or I want to kind of heed, you know, some of their advice, or I want to connect or collaborate with them. because it can be a really great kind of connection, but it can also be good in a sense of chemistry as well. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Cool cards. All right, what's up, Fabby? She says, lately I've been feeling like life has been stagnant. Nothing exciting, just repetitive work, plus work is stressful and friendships are weird lately. Do you see anything on the horizon for me? I'm an Aquarius rising, 20 degrees, and I'm a Pisces sun, Scorpio moon. So Pluto squaring your moon. That's what's up. All right, let's see what we can tell you. If I see anything on the horizon for you. I think the Aquarius eclipse is kind of a doozy, you know? It's like that reset that's kind of going on for you personally when it comes to who you are and your identity. So seeing the opposition, you know, energy to Leo in your 7th house is like relationships are changing, whether that's to friends or romantic partners or what have you. And if you have that Scorpio moon, Pluto in Aquarius is now squaring your moon. So it creates a lot of issues with women or like family relationship drama or issues with your home or your living situation. It's kind of like an emotional purge, basically, that's kind of going on. So let's see what I can tell you, Fabby. 1, 2, 3. Sun, Empress, 3 of Wands. Hey. Honestly, this makes me feel like there's something that's kind of opening up where there's so many changes happening with some of your female relationships or some of your friends that it's kind of like allowing you to go your own way, right? So it doesn't have to be drama and like a bunch of like conflict. It can be something that can just be kind of natural where there's like a segue where you're feeling like you're outgrowing certain relationships. The Sun card comes up, which talks about joy, personal fulfillment, success. Especially this can be a card that's saying like if you're working your tail off, you can really start to get that recognition, particularly at work. So even though you feel like things are stagnant and nothing's really happening, I know for Aquarius risings, like Jupiter going direct on the 6th is going to be about, you know, having a boost in enthusiasm at work or working with a new team or changes in your schedule or in your office, and it can be good. Especially with some of the retrogrades, it can make you feel more confident or better supported. But yeah, I know you guys are kind of working your butt off. But the Sun card can be saying after all of that hard work and success, you can be rewarded. So I'm wondering if some of like the Mercury transits are going to be about you being rewarded in some way where you're getting recognition at work or you're getting a raise or something like that kind of comes in. So it's not as all stagnant as you think it is. Then you've also got the Empress card. So this is basically talking about self-love, taking care of yourself, valuing yourself, putting yourself first, indulging. Like I would say if I were an Aquarius rising, just looking at some of the transits, I would be saying to myself, you know, I'm working really hard. Where am I investing in me? And what am I doing for me, right? Because the retrograde's in the 2nd house. How do I feel about myself? This is a good time to be exploring, you know, do I need to be starting some new self-care routines? Do I need to be investing in my emotional health, my mental health? Do I invest in travel? Am I wanting to have some style changes? Do I want to update my look? Is it time for me to start thinking about, you know, setting aside some money and, you know, investing it or putting it in an account where it can be growing and it's helping me work towards a goal? Do you want to make a luxury purchase? Do you want to go on a trip? Is there something that you have always been wanting to do or kind of invest in? And so the Empress card can be basically saying that if you're feeling like there is this sense of kind of being turned off by some of your friends or maybe even stuff that's going on at work, what are you working so hard for? And how can you make some better decisions to kind of invest in yourself so that way you're really feeling a little bit more secure and feeling a little bit more fulfilled, right? So it is a selfish energy, but it's more about what can I grow? What can I achieve? What can I do? And I think Aquarius risings are going to have some of the best transits, honestly, this year, because you're going to see that Saturn and Neptune are now moving into your 3rd. Writing projects, short distance trips, communication, learning foreign languages. It can also be a time where you're doing a lot of writing or something kind of connected to media. And then you have Uranus going in your 5th. So a lot of you guys are going to start dating. You're going to be meeting new people. It's going to be exciting. You're going to have like party time. So I think that this is more you focusing on being like, what can I do that's going to bring me pleasure? Not being so consumed with why other people are being weird or why I'm not connecting with people. I'm going to do me. And doing so looks like it's going to be positive because it's going to lead you to new connections, and it's also going to kind of broaden your horizons, especially involving travel. So 3 of Wands is basically saying that you're going to be exploring more, maybe more road trips, and I would especially see that through Saturn and Neptune in your 3rd. It can also mean that you're connecting with new kind of individuals and like friends and groups. The sun rules your 7th house of relationships. So when planets go through Aries, especially at the end of March going into April, I would be like, girl, it's a time to join a walking group, get online, go on meetup.com, see other people who have interests that you have, see if you want to go on like a weekend kind of getaway, see if maybe it's a time for you to start taking an online class of something that interests you, that you want to kind of learn about. You can connect with other community. This is about you broadening your horizons and being like, if my friends are being weird, I'm going to go find people who are like going to be my people, who are going to have some of the same interests in me, and not feel insecure or weird about kind of going your own way and being independent, because there's like a very exploratory kind of period that's going to be going on through this transit. I also like the fact that you're going to see some sextiles to Pluto in your 1st house. So as you are evolving, it's actually being supported by Saturn and Neptune for you to kind of be on the move, traveling a little bit, learning, and kind of really feeling like you're getting in touch with what's going to make you happy. So don't feel like you're being selfish, right? It's not about you being selfish. It's just that you're just going to be investing only in people and things that are going to make you feel like you're alive, and really kind of using your time wisely while you've got some free time. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Some really great cards. It looks like you're going to be definitely having some adventures. All right, so we've got Amanda. I'm circling back to you. So thank you guys for your patience. I appreciate it. If you guys haven't already, give me a thumbs up, like this video. Make sure you guys are subscribed to my channel so you can see more of these videos. I will be back on Sunday doing the astro weather. We're going to talk about Jupiter direct. All right, and we have got, oh, looks like Diana slid in there. Diana, you sent that after we closed the readings. Sorry, babe, I'm going to send that back to you because that was like 40 minutes after we closed it down. All right, so we've got Amanda. So Amanda says, do my reading last if possible. Hey girl, it's me, your favorite 29-degree Virgo rising, Cap, Sun, Taurus, Moon. Pull 3 cards and tell me what I need to know. Still getting over the Sag, rising, Cancer, Sun. I know I should be over his cheating ass. Thank you. All right, well, let's see what I can tell you, Amanda. What does she need to know? All right. 1, 2, 3. Actually, how long ago did we close that? Maybe I'm just reading the time wrong because the time's kind of weird on here. So maybe Diana was the last one to come in. Are you still here, Diana? I've got 9 of Wands. Ooh, Queen of Coins, King of Cups. All right, so just because this is a King of Cups, don't automatically assume that this is the Cancer, okay? I don't want you to go there. 9 of Wands being in the past, I think, is a great place to have that card, because this can basically mean that you're kind of assessing the situation of what you have been kind of coming out of in recent months, feeling beat up for sure, feeling kind of like you're longing for an ending to the situation, reassessing where you stand and whether or not you kind of proceed forward on your own, or if you go back and you try to kind of keep up the good fight. So for that to be behind you, it's basically saying you're worn out. You don't really see a lot of this feeling of wanting to stay or wanting to kind of put your energy into trying to make things work that are broken, or trying to take people back, or trying to kind of understand why people do what they do. And you're ready to move on, right? Because with this card, the next card would be the 10 of Wands, which means it is a completion of a cycle. So you're at that turning point where you're kind of turning a corner, and it's like you looking at things going like, okay, there's definitely a sense of needing to leave this kind of in the past and leave it behind, so that way we can kind of open up to what's new. It's also about just asking yourself, like, how much more can your heart take? Like, how much more pain or heartbreak or disappointment, and do you want to keep going back for a beating? That's literally what this card means. So I think there can be this sense of you going like, I know it's not the right move, I'm still healing, I'm moving on from things, and like I'm at least more aware of how much time and energy I've been putting into kind of getting things right with myself, that I'm not just willingly going to go back and repeat some of the same cycles. So it tells me that you're learning. Now, the other thing is that we've got the Queen of Pentacles coming up, which is you, which is perfect because obviously you're a Cap Sun and you're a Virgo rising. So it's definitely talking about you in general. Queen of Pentacles is the card that you want to pull. I mean, it's like the boss lady. So this is somebody who is not as young and idealistic as the Queen of Cups. She's not going to be as kind of like ferocious as the Queen of Wands. She's not as stern, I think, or serious as the Queen of Swords. Queen of Pentacles embodies all of the different like versions of the queens. And so it basically says you're now coming into this period where you feel a little bit more solid. You know your worth. You're focusing on getting things in a healthy state. So that can mean your mind, your body, your spirit, your money, your job, everything from your habits. And you're really coming up as a queen. So you're like grounded now. And there's this sense of you really kind of knowing your worth. And she's very matter of fact. She's very business oriented. And so with this card coming up in the right now, it's like actually saying you're a lot stronger than you give yourself credit for. You've been able to make a lot more headway than I think you're aware of. And sometimes when you're going through like that process of like kind of getting over like the shock and the disappointment of the relationship, like you're not able to kind of see yourself for who you are. So it's saying that you're coming out of this feeling a little bit more mature, more so grounded, and definitely a lot healthier not being in this encounter. So part of it might also be like, yeah, okay, there's disappointment with the breakup, but do you feel like all in all, you're happier, you're healthier? Are you making more financially or kind of like physically sound decisions? Do you feel like you're more in control? Do you feel like you're not constantly just kind of reacting to kind of a back and forth in a relationship where things were like really intense? And then you got the King of Cups. So a king and a queen are a pair. Obviously, they're not the same element, but it can be saying that now that you're kind of shifting things a little bit and you're getting a little bit more grounded and you're really looking at things in a much more mature manner and you're wanting something that's a little bit more solid and you're carrying yourself in a much more kind of mature way, now it's about bringing somebody new in. So keep your eye out for a water sign. It can be a Pisces, a Cancer, or a Scorpio. It can be somebody that you meet by water or near water. It can also be that there's somebody that comes in that's got like lighter eyes or lighter hair or lighter features. And usually the King of Cups is somebody who's like very charming, wears his heart on his sleeve. He's funny, but this is also somebody who's a little bit more soft and a little bit more emotional and vulnerable. And for that to be coming up as the final card, I think what it's really kind of indicating is like somebody's coming in that might be your reward. It might be because you decided that you were like, I'm not going to be holding on to this. I'm going to focus on myself. And like, as you're doing that, you're kind of like raising your vibration, calling somebody in who's going to be a good match for you. Although there is this sense of you approaching relationships being a little bit more kind of like, you know, transactional or a little bit more kind of cautious or cold, or maybe you're just taking your time to kind of like warm up to somebody and trust people again. But usually the King of Cups is somebody who's not going to be fazed by that. It's somebody who's like, slowly going to kind of like eat away at you, you know, and like kind of break down your walls and kind of smooth things over and make it possible, I think, to kind of open you up again and really try to kind of gain your trust and show you that it is possible to have like love and romance and that it doesn't have to be all difficult and like challenging. And they can, like I said, they really kind of get you to like warm up to them in a way. So usually they will kind of show up around their birthdays. So you might notice that this is something that's starting to kind of change in kind of June or July. Although knowing you're a late degree Virgo rising, I would say really the relationship stuff is happening like now. You know, Venus and Saturn meeting in your 7th. You're going to see Sun and Mercury and Mars all kind of going through in April. So I would say March and April is like getting over the hurdle of the breakup stuff. Somebody new may come in, but I would say you want to be ready for whatever's going on kind of like May, June, and July. That's when you're probably going to start to really see some changes in the relationship department. Keep your eyes out for that King of Cups. Usually, like I said, they kind of have like flowing hair, kind of like lighter eyes or features, or there's something kind of connected to water. So if you happen to be in any of those places, watch for a connection with someone like that. Good luck. Definitely some really positive cards. So that's one of the better spreads that you've gotten in some time. And yes, I just saw you, Diana. Did we get Janette? Yes. Yeah, we did. So it was the 2 creative projects. We did your reading where you were asking about your channeled art and you were also asking about your products that you were making. So just scan back a little bit, but I did your reading. It was right after Iman, and then it was right before we did Elizabeth. Okay, so Diana, I got you. Sorry, I thought for some reason we had closed it sooner. My time zone on my PayPal is like all weird, but I see your question. Thanks for your patience. She says, I have a pending insurance accident claim where insurance is saying it's my fault. I want to know if it's going to be a turnaround Litigation is looking to see if the case is worth fighting. It was not my fault. All right, well, let's take a look. So what can we tell Diana about this insurance accident claim? They're saying it's her fault, and she's wondering if it's worth litigation. All right, so this is for you, Diana. All right, well, I know you're stressed now. Okay, I can see that with the Nine of Swords coming up. Anybody would be if you're kind of going back and forth where you're being accused of something that is not your fault. And yeah, it's stressful with the Nine of Swords. It means that you're like, oh my God, I don't want to lose sleep over this. Like, what am I going to do? Like, what's going to happen? Like, don't go to worst case scenario land. Okay, don't let your mind go there, because when that card comes up, it's basically saying sometimes we're worrying about things that we have no control over. And if you're wanting to know if I see this turning around, and if litigation is looking to see if the case is worth fighting, I would say yes, because the final card that you get is the Ace of Coins. So this can mean you're actually winning something, winning a case. Maybe you're able to get your, damages covered. Maybe you're covered where you're not having to pay for something. Like, I do think it's worth going through the litigation. Two of Wands is saying that there's going to be two very different perspectives. And I don't know if this is going to be what you told your insurance versus what the other person told their insurance. I don't know if there were potentially people who were witness to what actually happened with the accident. But this is about you kind of being like, what other perspectives can we get here? So just kind of spitballing. Two of Wands makes me wonder, was it at an intersection where you can go and contact the city and see if there's footage? Was it outside of or near of a building where there was, video at a business where there may potentially be another perspective of the accident? Was there something who, like I said, was witness to this? Because there's going to be another perspective that's going to come in, or there's going to be a sense of them going and evaluating the damage and being like, we can look at their car, we can look at your car, we can put it together, we can go and do a bit of like an inspection and determine realistically what happened based off of what the damage with the vehicles, had. They do that apparently. I also think that Two of Wands is kind of saying, like, if you approach this from a sense of being open, and instead of it being a case closed, you're being told you're at fault even though you're not, go into it and go and do the litigation and be willing to meet with them, because I do feel like you're going to get two very different stories, and they're going to be able to kind of look at the stories or get what other outside information they need, take a look at things, and then be able to kind of see, actually, maybe she's telling a little bit more of the truth than what that other person was saying. We could actually see where, there was potentially some visibility issues, or from somebody's perspective, they're trying to say something happened, but it's not really lining up with what happened with the damage. And so it's going to be about visuals, perspective, images. And I do think that the Two of Wands leading to the Ace of Pentacles is saying that in the end, you may actually win something. And I don't think it's just winning at the, like winning the case, but I think it's going to be more being like, yeah, I didn't do anything wrong. I proved you that, and it's not my fault. And therefore, you're not going to be likely to have insurance going up. You're not going to have to pay, a hefty kind of premium to get something fixed. You may also be able to get something from their insurance so you can get your stuff covered. So I think it's a no-brainer, right? The accident has already happened. It's unfortunate, but instead of feeling like you're questioning whether or not it's worth going through with it, go through with it, try to see what other outside information or perspectives you can get, have them run the analysis and go and look at the different damage that you're seeing on the cars, because likely in the end, you're going to be somebody who's going to come out on top. And at the very least, you're not going to have to pay for somebody else's kind of expenses, especially if you didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes when the Ace of Coins comes up, it's basically saying it's like the ace in the hole. So can it be timely? Can it be a little costly? Sure. But I think that it is going to be worth it, because it's better than just kind of accepting defeat, especially if you're not the one who's at fault. So be open to that. Be willing to talk to, obviously, like either the litigation attorneys, or be willing to talk to what's going on with the insurance, especially who's ever like managing your insurance. I would be like, did you get photos of, their damages? Can you look at photos of my damage? Can we, look at the cars together and actually really kind of talk about what happened and kind of get the feedback from both of us and get statements? Because something's not going to match up, and they're going to see that somebody is either kind of tweaking something or saying something that is going to open them to doing a little bit more of an investigation. And honestly, I think it's definitely worth the investment of the time. sticky situation, but it looks like it's going to have a good outcome, especially over the next month. You're going to have to move on this pretty quickly. So it looks like over the next couple of days, you're going to have to make the decision to get involved in this, or you're going to have to move forward with it. But look for some kind of resolution around about 4 weeks from now. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Diana. And for those of you guys who got readings tonight, thank you guys for your patience. I know sometimes it takes a little bit to kind of move through everybody. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell button so you hear other alerts for my videos. I'm going to be back on Sunday where we're going to be talking all about Jupiter going direct in Cancer. And I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday and Sunday. So if you guys want to join me next week, we're going to be doing live astrology readings for the new moon in Pisces. So make sure you're subscribed and you check out my community tab if you guys want to sign up for a reading next week for one of the lives. And if you want to see more about me and my work, I teach tarot as well as astrology. I also sell all kinds of cool tarot tote bags and transit calendars and much more. Click the links below in the description. You can head over to my website at beyondtheveiltarot.com. If you guys want to book a personal one-on-one reading with me, I'd love to work with you guys. Check out my schedule and hopefully we can connect soon. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday and have a great weekend, and I'll see you back here on Sunday. Take care.